This is Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth. And for anybody who's involved in the cryptocurrency market, you're probably already well aware that there's currently a bit of blood in the streets. The market is way down. In fact, Bitcoin alone has lost around 37% just last month. And the overall market cap of cryptocurrencies is significantly down. In fact, this time last year, Bitcoin was hovering in at around the $10,000 level, and today we're under $4,000. So insane volatility. So joining me on the line to help break this down and help us understand all this is Kenneth Ameduri of crushthestreet.com. And Kenneth, I want to get your views on the current market sentiment, the kind of psychology of Bitcoin in general. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the current crash. I mean, I know there's no one particular factor that we can point to, a triggering, catalyzing event, but in your estimation, what are some of the factors here that are at play for why we're in this current bear market?
Well, thanks for having me on, Dan. I appreciate that. And it's a very interesting topic, and it's something that I think people will look back for decades and years down the line. We could study this, one of the greatest bull markets in 2017 that the world has ever seen, right? And then the bear market happening in quite a fast period of time. And this last leg down is just typical of markets doing what they do best. I mean, we were in that $6,000 Bitcoin range for 3 months, from August to November here. And the floor completely fell out from under it. Right when everyone was put at ease, right when most people were saying, hey, this is a good bottom, a good entry point, markets do what they do best and fall once again. And that's the typical nature of bear markets. And specifically this time around, I mean, it is multifaceted. It's nuanced. There isn't one specific thing or another, but it heavily correlated to the Bitcoin Cash hard fork that we saw. And as opposed to what we saw last year with the Bitcoin hard fork, which did add market cap, euphoria, and brought people into the sector. This one was just chaotic. There was a lot of fighting going on, a lot of bickering. And when you have a situation where people are still trying to figure out Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and then you have this uncertainty in this bear market environment, it's just more weight on something that really needs to cycle out. And so much can be said. I mean, too much too fast in 2017. And now we need to overcorrect to the downside.
Well, what sort of things do you think need to happen? I mean, is there a catalyzing event type of scenario that could lead to a sustainable rally with Bitcoin?
Well, I honestly think that it's going to defy fundamentals for some time, because from what I've learned from gold and silver and the bear markets that we've seen in the past, bear markets are brutal and they defy the laws of fundamentals so many times. I mean, even the stock market was going up and up and up, defying what should have been corrections all the way down the line. But that's what markets do. They overcorrect and they go up more than people will imagine. And so what needs to happen? I mean, we need to completely shake out and capitulate. And we're seeing some very, very notable people in the space start to throw in the towel on cryptocurrency. People are wondering if this is going to be a viable technology, if blockchain is going to be around, or if the mainstream is just going to sidestep it and disregard it and it fizzles away. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see some major institutional money start to come in. And when that does happen, that's really when we're going to see that rushing mighty water of a river try to enter the water hose. And ultimately, that's what's going to take Bitcoin and, specifically Bitcoin. That's where my bias is, to $50,000 and $100,000. And I'm not telling people it's going to be an easy ride, because even when we bottom, keep in mind, we hit a low of 3,200 roughly. I'm not sure exactly what the low is here, but we might go lower than that. We might go to 2,500, and it'll only be in hindsight, months or maybe a year or two later that we say, hey, that was the bottom. That was the start of the bull market. And even as we start to inch up, maybe Bitcoin bottoms at 2,500, goes to 6,000, and everyone's like, hey, we're in a bull market now. And then what do markets do? Goes back to 4,000. People are down, a big chunk again. Even though we bottomed and we were on our way up, markets just have a way of washing and rinsing investors. And that's why I think it's really important. And I created a special report at crushthestreet.com/Bitcoin 2019 to really go over my game plan for beginners and newbies and people who just need a pep talk on how to play this going forward here. It's a very consequential time. And, if you've been outside of the market for some time, this might have been a blessing now, because here we are, Bitcoin sub $4,000 as it's, hitting the mainstream in a very big way. And I think there's a lot of upside. I'm not in the camp of thinking this is fizzling out. This is a very exciting time.
Are you familiar with what's been going on in Japan? Because I've heard rumors that in 2019 they may be accepting, exchanges, and that could do significant things for Bitcoin. What are your projections for Bitcoin in 2019? If we want to get down to the fundamentals of how it could reach 50,000, how can that happen next year?
Well, I'm not saying that it's going to happen next year. I think this bear market honestly could go on for. People aren't going to want to hear it, 6 months to another 12 months. And even beyond that, like I said, it might take some time for it to really start to feel like a bull market. So this could take some time, and it's going to have to really cycle through. And then, we'll start to inch higher, just like we did at the end of 2016. Bitcoin was getting close to $1,000, inching higher and higher and higher. People are starting to talk about it once again. And then once people are fully convinced that, Bitcoin is back, it's back to $20,000 again, right? And then everyone's deciding now it's a good time to get into the space. That's when I think, a lot of the big money will come in. And it does need a higher price, because right now the overall market cap is kind of small for a lot of the big money. So it's going to take a combination of the big money coming in, people getting the confidence in cryptocurrency once again, and just dealing with the brutality of this bear market. And, not to toot my own horn here, but we were actually talking about this. We weren't telling people, hey, get in at $20,000 Bitcoin. We were, honest with people. Hey, this is starting to get euphoric. And you need to start taking and trimming some losses here. I've personally trimmed profits between $12,000 Bitcoin and $18,000 Bitcoin. And my plan, which I lay out in the report at crushthestreet.com/Bitcoin 2019, is to accumulate over the next 6 to 12 months 3 times as many nominal Bitcoins as I had during the bull run of the 2017 euphoric time. And I think the next one is going to go, to $50,000. Maybe that number is somewhat arbitrary to a certain degree, but not really. When you start to see the pension funds come in, the hedge funds come in, NASDAQ futures, these ETFs. I know a lot of people are worried about these paper contracts too, because we know what happened with gold, right? We know what happened with precious metals and the manipulation of it. But we're not even saturated yet with cryptocurrency. Just some sort of paper derivative will be positive marketing, in my opinion, for the underlying Bitcoin. So I think there's a lot of upside. And talking about that saturation of Bitcoin, consider precious metals. We've had, 2,000 years to figure out the price of gold and silver. The whole world understands it. Now, sure, we believe if there's some underlying currency crisis, we are going to see gold go higher and silver go higher. But aside from, adoption from other people, that's not really what we're going to see affect precious metals. Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, does have that aspect of, sound money. If we do see something happen with the underlying currencies, I believe that's going to positively benefit Bitcoin. But beyond that, the world needs to be introduced to it. And that's what I think is really where we're spring loaded to the upside.
Where do you think the big bad banksters are with this? Do they still see Bitcoin as somewhat of a threat, or are they shifting gears now and focusing on just blockchain tech in general moving forward? What's your take on how the banksters see this?
Mm. Well, I mean, we definitely saw some pushback last year in 2017, and going back a few years, we called Bitcoin bankers' worst fear, and we kind of saw that play out. And for sure, this is competition to the traditional financial system. And it's going to be a balance, a combination of a breakdown in the system, which, right now, the stock market is down 600 points. I mean, this is a really big deal right now. And, this breakdown, this lack of confidence in the banking system, the traditional Wall Street, which really, that's where Bitcoin was birthed. So I think a combination of countries, going to Bitcoin, like Venezuela, the people per se, not really necessarily the countries, but the people of Venezuela saying, hey, we can't trust the Bolivar, but we can put our money into this cryptocurrency, move it to somewhere else, open our computer in South Africa, and here I can convert my money to gold or what have you. That use case is going to continue to build itself out, and it's just going to be a combination of mainstream use cases, extreme use cases, hedge fund, non-correlated asset reasons. I mean, it's going to be multifaceted. It's nuanced. It's a brand new technology. I mean, people that are learning this stuff, I mean, cryptocurrency in general, I mean, there's going to be jobs for people that, want to make $200,000, $500,000 a year as developers. I don't think this is going away. And I'm still very excited about it. And I'm more excited about it now that, I feel like I can start to get back into it to a large degree, because I was on the sidelines for some time. And I'm getting excited once again. And that's, where my heart is right now. And that's why I feel like this is very timely.
Well, I agree. It is timely. And like you said, when we're seeing all these kind of markets having problems right now, people are going to start looking to protect their assets elsewhere. And especially in the face of the looming dollar crash, which we know is an inevitability. It's just a matter of time. We could see some major rallies come in the face of these catalyzing events. So I think we're in an interesting time. It's in a good place. We've been trading sideways for a little while. This volatility is a good thing. We're shaking out. It's a healthy correction in my opinion, and that's what we need in order to be able to see those kind of parabolic rises like we used to see before. So the fundamentals are still on the table. I think it's still healthy to be involved moving forward. So how can people follow your work, and if they want to just learn more from you, give us the links to where they can learn from you?
Well, I appreciate that. People can visit me at crushthestreet.com. I'm pretty much an open book in terms of what I'm investing in, what I'm doing. We have a team of contributors there that cover the news as it pertains to money for the most part. We usually just talk about politics in general as it pertains to money. We don't get, into gay marriage and things like that. I mean, that's not really, what affects people's livelihood in the money per se. But, we'll leave that for another discussion.
Leave the politics up to me and all that PC
like stuff
stuff.
Like that. We're not covering. But politics as it pertains to people, as it pertains to trends, that's what we cover. And when it's all said and done, it really is about people. Trends are anticipating what people are likely to do and being in front of that trend, whether that's cannabis, whether that's precious metals, the stock market, cryptocurrencies, dollar crisis. I mean, that's a function of people dumping the US dollar if we see a dollar crisis, a currency crisis. So it's all about anticipating what people are going to do, what people are likely to do. And we try to use a moral compass in whatever that is. And again, we have a lot of fun over at crushthestreet.com. And I encourage people, if people want to learn more about Bitcoin and kind of, where things are going from here and kind of my strategy to really dig my heels in, visit crushthestreet.com/Bitcoin 2019.
Awesome. Well, I know you guys have a good track record. You always seem to be 2 steps ahead. So I'll have links to that in the description below for anybody who's interested. Once again, Kenneth Ameduri, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you, sir.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.